Yeah, well, you know, Repulse Bay Village, of course, it's thank you, TK, right? I mean, he's who's organized all of this for us and for me. And it's fantastic to finally, I mean, we would talk about this maybe a year ago, this might happen, but here I am. And yeah, I mean, I make some new artwork. These pieces behind me, we of course have some new figures that we will have. Yes, the incense chamber, a new one with neighborhood. Strangely, neighborhood and TK, I think I've had relationship with these brands or TK and the brand neighborhood for ooh, 25 years. So we've been friends a long time. So it's wonderful to have a continued friendship, obviously. And just to say, this might be the third incense chamber I've done with neighborhood with the point man figure. So it's fantastic that they are joining our PV and our project here with another product for us. Yeah, I mean, you know, what can I say except thank you? Everyone's been very kind, and in a way, it's kind of awesome because you have like USA, Hong Kong, Japan. It shows a kind of global unity amongst friends, brands, creative people. I mean, once again, with neighborhood, you know, it's quite easy because we're kind of working with the same figure over different version. There was a very classic ceramic one. There was a black smoky one, and now there's this new kind of metallic silver one. So it's just a continuation of their development of incense chamber and kind of evolution of the point man with neighborhood. For TK, and once again, we talked about RPV as a potential project where in the future, I believe Nego may join with a human-made curry up. Other things will come here. So this is kind of the beginning, I think, of what will arrive in RPV. In addition, I mean, the biggest thing for me, not just I'm happy about, but physically, is the large sculpture. You saw the box outside. We will reveal that later tonight. And it's the biggest, well, it's the newest version of the Point Man, but it's the biggest statue I've had, along with working with ARR and SK as well, who's another member of this collaboration. Yeah, I mean, all I can say, history is, I've been coming to Hong Kong for a long time. So I know those people I mentioned, 25 years. I came to Hong Kong my first time. Next year will be 50 years. So 1975, I arrived in your city, your country, and I love it. I love it here. It's like a second home. I mean, after New York, it's kind of like, for me, Hong Kong, then maybe Tokyo, Paris, London, you know, but Hong Kong, number two. So I'm always happy to be back. Well, I mean, it's certainly evolved because I think when I first arrived, the kind of graffiti or street art that we know today didn't really exist yet. There was graffiti in Hong Kong, but it was normally, from my observation, advertising, phone numbers. You know, I can replace your keys. I can fix your plumbing. You know, this kind of business graffiti. Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, now, so many years later, most recently, I can think of like Hong Kong Walls, this organization that's bringing artists in from around the world to paint murals here. I mean, unfortunately, when I'm coming, I'm involved in projects, and all I get to see sometime is what I can see during transport from point A to point B. And this particular trip, and even I was here maybe 5 weeks ago for a Complex Con, I didn't see so much. So maybe, hopefully my next trip, somebody from maybe HK Walls or someone who's really local artist can let me know what's happening. The thing is, there's so much going on around the world in every city that it's difficult for me unless I see on someone's Instagram feed what's really happening. But I'm always open to see stuff and learn about new artists and what he or she or they do. As a kind of older member from that school or a graduate from that kind of street school, I very much embrace young people being creative and maybe not illegally taking space for themselves, but because of groups and different projects that can organize legal work, I think that's the way to go. If you're creative and you want to do something in the public space, yes, you can take it yourself, but maybe find a way to get permission and have the authorization to do it legally. This way you can be creative without being punished. I think I'm working in a more, I'm doing my creative expression regardless of where I am. Yeah, I draw inspiration from the location. I mean, the work was made here. So I could tell you one of the paintings is called Repulse Bay Village. One of the paintings is called New Territories. So maybe that's the association to the work and the location. But no, I mean, I'm just happy to be in Hong Kong with my friends and doing a project like this where, yeah, you guys can see some of my new paintings. You're probably very familiar with some of my symbolism. The work behind me here, it's a bit more removed, but this work is representative of my new direction and some place I'm going. But yeah, I mean, once again, being here with friends, family, people who support me, and relationships I've built for so long, it's just fantastic to be here. To be honest, luckily I can have a foot in both worlds. Like, I would very much, I don't want to say prefer, but maybe yes. To me, public art is still kind of more interesting because if I paint a wall, then everyone can have access, right? Everyone can see the wall. They can come to the location, what have you. The gallery, sometimes the gallery system, the art world, it's a bit more, not exclusive, but, somewhat selective. Meaning even young kids maybe feel uncomfortable. They don't understand, what is this? So I would prefer, it sounds crazy, public art comes free to the public, right? And even me sometimes, I almost don't want to be paid to make a public work. I mean, yes, please pay my materials, buy me lunch, give me a drink. But in the art world setting, now we have economics and finance and money and business, and this is different. So to me, it's easier to remove the economic equation, which is why I would rather not do free work, but it gives me pleasure to do work in the public space because the public can have access. Everyone can have access. And no one is there to leverage the value. The value, well, there is no value. And in the public space, maybe tomorrow, somebody comes and they just paint over. Or another artist comes and they destroy. There's something about the life of the public space that's more real. This is not staged, but it's like a set. It's preconceived. It's a gallery, white wall, hang the painting here, hang it there. The public space is, it's wild out there. And it's more energy in the public space for me. And I get more enjoyment, I think, painting walls in the public space. Priceless?
Can you?
No, I mean, I think for me, once again, like, given the opportunity to return to Hong Kong, a place I love, and do something creative, show new work, show new characters. For me, my creativity and my story is evolution of myself and my potential. But even some of these new pieces, I'm already doing some new stuff, right? Like Yes, I mean, this is quite classic, at least if you're familiar with my work, and something almost you expect. This, as I said, is a bit of my new stuff, but there's some very subtle things like these very thin lines that you see. Um, and that's a little bit new for me. So I could work anywhere. I would rather work in a situation where the people around me, it's warm, it's comfortable, everyone is loving, it's that kind of positive energy. But no, I mean, just as an artist, being allowed to be creative, I think that's amazing. So this experience for me is priceless, but that's also because I love TK and I've had such a great relationship with him, and him lending this space to me to have this show. I think it's cool, and I'm so happy. Once again, it's not the same as the art world in the street, but it's the art world and the, let's say, the buying community of the street, the kids, the young people who certainly could not afford, per se, large scale Futura painting or even a small scale Futura drawing. It might be out of their price range. Now, I've been in streetwear, clothing, toy fabrication, all sorts of stuff for many years. So for me, there I can reach a kind of few communities. I can have things that are more available to the public. And once again, trying to have a variety where the prices can accommodate like everyone. And so no one is shut out from potentially having something of mine. I think the value for young people, collectors, yeah, they want to buy one of my figures, but they really want me to sign the box. It's like, then they feel closer to something original, where maybe they're not even old enough yet to acquire artwork on that level. So I will always have, once again, both feet, one in a kind of commercial space with some limitation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be, mega brand. I would like to remain also somewhat limited in these creations, because I don't want to sell to everybody, and I don't want my product to be so vast that it's just, it diminishes the kind of moment and that particular element. Like all these figures we have, whether it's the chamber, the ABS new guy, the sculpture. Well, yeah, those are 3 different price points, 3 different materials, but I can touch different audience with these pieces. Yeah, so I mean, really the big thing about this whole event is the big sculpture outside, right? Because that's like the big kahuna, or it's like the grand moment for me, is even seeing something so big. Because yeah, I mean, I'm usually in a 3-dimensional space, not sculpture but toys, ABS figure. And by the way, the new figure, the clear one, I think is so dope and amazing, because one, it incorporates the point man that everyone associates me with, that character. However, no, this one is a bit more advanced. He's got some breathing apparatus, and the biggest happiness I have is the atomic element inside of him, which I had always said kind of symbolizes my energy. So if you could imagine, I don't want to take anything from Marvel and that universe, but the power of Tony Stark, it's a little bit the same concept. And sorry, I didn't come before the cartoon Iron Man, but I came before the movies of Marvel Universe. And so for me, we're realizing something visually, sculpturally, physically, that I always thought in my head. Like even when I'm drawing Point Man and whatever, and I'm making these paintings, well, they're both created by the same person. And I've always said the energy, this atomic symbol, well, it's me. It's my energy. It's my source of power. And so to have one of the figures physically represented that way is a real leap for me. and it has electronics. You know, it's not just there, it lights up. And oh, by the way, the big sculpture, which is almost 3 meters tall, he also, or she, I don't know, it's a he, we don't know what it is. It's a thing, but it also lights up. And I think that's just kind of cool. I mean, like these little upgrades to everything, I think is fantastic. You know, my genesis as an artist, Futura 2000, it's coming from one of the most famous science fiction movies ever, 2001: A Space Odyssey. This is from 1968, from Stanley Kubrick. In my mind, one of the greatest directors, in loving memory of Stanley Kubrick. But Alien, the movie, 1979, 80, I forget exactly when, but that's a big inspiration for me and ultimately the Point Man. I mean, if you think of the head of the shape of the alien and my shape of my guy, very similar. So maybe people don't know this, but yes, Alien was a kind of inspiration for me to arrive to my figure. But in addition, I'm not limited to Point Man, right? I mean, I have a kind of other range of characters, all kind of alien-esque. And yeah, I'm using that theme as a kind of inspiration or a basis of my creativity. Someone at my age has seen, heard, like a lot of music over my lifetime. So I began as a kind of soul music, Motown, this kind of black sound from America. But then, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, okay, this kind of melodic, beautiful songwriting. But I love Jimi Hendrix. So, rest in peace, Jimmy. I mean, he was such a great man, and incredible artist. More recently, by the 80s, rap music. And so I'm also a student and a kind of product of that generation of hip hop. It's not my favorite genre, but I kind of love it. Truth be told, I think electronic music is probably more a soundtrack to my stuff. So a random group like Future Sound of London, FSOL, like stuff from the 90s, 25 years ago stuff, but it still resonates with me. I think it has something to do with the BPM, right? Electronic music tends to have a higher tempo. So do I. So I can relate on that level, I think. So having said that, music is now less important than it used to be. It used to always be important to me. Like, I have to have music. I have to have music. No, I don't really have to have music anymore. These days, I think I'm taking more information than music, right? I need info. I need news. I need some update on some crisis or what's happening here, what's happening. There's like so much happening in the world. So music is less important. I don't need music to work. In fact, when it's chill, I can be more thoughtful. But if something cool is playing and I'm working, maybe I'm moving to it. Maybe I get into it. But I would have to say who's number one for me right now. I would still say probably I'm mostly a rap guy. And shout out to Snoop Dogg. Love Snoop. Right, when you have these anniversary numbers pop up, 20, 30, 40, in any 10-year period where you can keep adding decades. And 50 is amazing, right? Silver anniversary, oh my God, 50, half a century. I mean, it's a long time. So, I mean, it's 2 lifetimes, basically. I look at everything, and I was saying about how I'm at I'm almost I'm going to live to be 100, by the way, okay? This is short. I've been told. But, which means I'm not even at the end of the 3rd portion. But 50 years is quite a long time, and specifically for Hong Kong, maybe we should. I mean, it's a little ahead of what is happening on my plate right now, but even late 2025 will still qualify. So yeah, maybe, as I said, Repulse Bay Village will develop. They'll bring in other things, and maybe that could be the occasion for me to come back, and then along with that, we can say, oh, and this marks the 50th anniversary of Futura's arrival in Hong Kong, which, was crazy because there was no there's no new airport yet. Lantau wasn't developed, or not yet, and the harbor was amazing. And my first memories of Hong Kong would be Victoria Peak, and how beautiful Hong Kong looked from above. Like I'd never seen something so beautiful. But at the same time, 50 years ago, everything was lush and the air quality was better and there was less pollution and less people and less cars and less everything. So everything looked, well, of course it was new. So I was fascinated by this new territory or new location. And just to say, I fell in love with Hong Kong because it's kind of during my military journey, it was one of the, yes, I went to Philippines first. I went to Guam first. Well, I went to Hawaii first. And that was amazing. Then I went to Guam, less amazing. I went to Philippines. Okay, cool. Hong Kong? What the fuck? This is amazing. And because I come from New York, very familiar with the food, heard the language, and I was so excited to come to the real thing. It's about authenticity and some originality. And so for me, the experience was wonderful because, as I say, as a New Yorker, not someone from a place in my country that isn't familiar with this cultural diversity, I embraced it. Same way I felt when I went to Japan and Thailand and Singapore and Korea. But Hong Kong, still, after New York, number 2 for me. I could say ni hao, I could say ngoi, but no, I sadly, I feel bad about that. No, I kind of feel bad. Now, I've been here enough times. It's not like I ever lived here. If I lived here for any long length of time, I would have made an effort to speak the language, at least basic conversational words. Like, for example, I had a business in Japan. Maybe 8 years I had a store, not in Tokyo, in a city called Fukuoka. It's where my brand, Futura Laboratories, was born in 2004, 20 years ago. And I spent, over the course of my time going to Japan, many, many days in Japan. And, I have a much better variety of words in Japanese than I have in Cantonese. So maybe I have to make an effort to learn. So when I come back next year for the 50th anniversary, we can say a few things together. Yeah. I'm lucky to have met the team from ARR, SK, and the whole unit, all of their creative teams. I think through the work they were doing with Claus, who is a good friend of mine, and Claus was part of the 1999 trip, my first time with TK. He was part of that thing. So the fact that we were here then together, and by the way, he was a very young artist at the time. No one anticipated. In 1999, we can't see 2024. So I had no idea what would become of me, and I didn't know what would become of Brian. So many years later, I think Brian was very helpful in opening that door for ARR, SK, and all of these future developments. But in reality, my collaboration with Neighborhood, TK, Nigo-san, any of these people, it's more based on friendship from the beginning. It starts out as a friendship, and then from a friendship, you find a way to possibly do a business. But business is a kind of secondary thought to me. As a creative person, I'm not here for the money. I'm here for the work. And along the way, if we can do business, that's amazing. And I think also the history I have with these individuals, Takshin, Neighborhood, Nigo-san, TK, and now the relationship I'm building with SK and ARR, everyone understands that, I'm a unique person, but I feel my integrity and my heart is in the right place. And I want to do positive things that isn't about gimme money. You know what I mean? Like, this is boring. And so maybe I'm successful now in my 60s because when I was in my 20s, money wasn't an ambition. So now it's happened for me in my my present future, and I'm so grateful for that. But I feel more rewarded in that it came that way, not with me just running after it. Because hey, that's the way of the world. I see it every day. Sometimes it's repulsive. Ooh, repulsive. Good connection. But no, I mean, I think my friendship with people is what enables the relationship. Because I don't want to say something about myself, but I think I'm a good person, and I I evoke good energy, and people know that I'm sincere, and and really my word that I say to someone is about the most important thing I can give, and friendship I feel is way more important than a business relationship because we all have business relationships with people we don't want to be friends with. And if that's the case, do the best you can to diminish that. Make it about quality of life and quality of work.